Hello lads and ladies and welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, which means League One roundup time. Again, big weekend in League One over the weekend as well. We're going to discuss it. We had a game on Friday on Sky. We had an early game as well on the Saturday on Sky as well. Sky really treating us to some League One football. As well, we're going to have a look at the table. The table's starting to look a little bit congested. A lot of teams on similar points. However, in important areas, there's a gap starting to build as we are seeing. Especially the top three and especially at the bottom. However, it's very tight from kind of fourth down to 18th area. So we're going to have a look at that. I've watched all the games from the weekend as well, and very important games as well for different reasons. I think some clubs are going under the radar, and yeah, we haven't got Jake on tonight. There will be some sort of news coming out of that very, very soon as well. Jake's going to take a little bit of a backseat from the channel for the time being, and hopes all is well there. But we're flying solo, so I'll need you guys to help me out tonight. Keep the questions flowing as well as we go on. We are going to go in game order as well. Again, hello Nappers, you all right, May? Watching the Bolton for the last weekend. What do you make of the limbs? I wasn't the best. Yeah, exactly. Wasn't pleased. The limbs were good, I must admit, but I'll get on to Fleetwood in a bit because I was probably the angriest I have ever been watching Fleetwood by some distance. I was angry at 1-0 up, and I've never been like that before. But we'll stay on, and we'll start off with Portsmouth against Derby. Now, one thing I want to say about Derby is I think it's an okay point for them. It keeps them ticking along. And they're on, 29 points now, and they're just outside of the playoffs. They're level on points with Portsmouth, who at one time were miles ahead of Derby. Portsmouth at this moment in time, when you look at it, the drawing games are fun. At least they're not losing by drawing games. They're kind of keeping themselves in a run for the top six. I do think that Portsmouth at this moment in time won't get in. I really don't. I think that they're short on the ground of players. They're not breaking teams down. They're making hard work of games. I thought they were very poor at Fratton Park on Friday evening. It's a good opportunity under the lights with your home fans backing against a top team for League One standards anyway. And they didn't do enough in the game. Now, I said last week they need to get through till January, just outside the playoffs. And at the moment, they're kind of limping. And if they carry on this form, they could be 8 points, 9 points outside of the playoffs. I don't think they will. I've had a look at who they're playing in the next few weeks as well. They've got Wycombe, Accrington, MK Dons, Exeter, Ipswich and Charlton on New Year's Day. I've got them down to get 8 points out of those games at the moment. I've only got them to win 2 games, them to lose 2 games, and them to draw 2 games. Realistically, Portsmouth need to win 3, need to pick up 10 points from those 6 games. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't see them doing that at this moment in time because they just need to get to January and get bodies back. They need to bring other players in if they're going to have a push because there's an opportunity there at this moment in time for them to get into the top 6. They're not quite taking it. Derby's an okay point for them. It carries on a little bit of a decent run for them. We'll say that. Again, big win against Morecambe. We'll come to that in a bit as well. The curse of Argyle for long added time on. Yeah, a couple of times this season that's happened to Argyle. And the question I asked, would that be the difference come May? It's hard saying now, but yeah. Do you think Ronaldo will come to Highbury? Who needs him? We've got Callum Morton. Hello, Ben. You good? I'm all good, Darren. You? Exeter 0, Ipswich 2. Great result for the Tractor Boys, wasn't it? I watched this game. Freddie Ladapo getting on the score sheet. 6 goals for him now. all of those have come in his last 9 games. He seems to be a player in terms of confidence at the minute, and he's holding the ball up well. Marcus Harness is another one that was out of confidence. He got a goal and assist, and I always say that he's stat pads. He doesn't score for 5 games, and he'll go and get 2 goals, 2 assists, won't score for 5 or 6 games, and so on. So his statistics look a little bit better than kind of his rhythm as a footballer. Exeter at home, they've still won half their games. They've won 5, they've lost 4, but losing to Ipswich is no mean feat. You know, there's going to be a lot of clubs that do that this season. And to still pick up 16 points at home is a remarkable achievement. That's 1.6 points a game. Cheltenham have also done that as well, a club that will be looking to finish in the same area as Exeter. Exeter, I think, are overachieving at this moment in time. So it's going to be an interesting one to see if they can maintain a positive start under new manager Gary Colwell, who, again, 1 win, 2 losses, a draw. It's not great, but still 4 points on the board. The next 4 or 5 games could turn their season around a little bit. If they lose them, all of a sudden they're on the back trails and looking behind them a little bit. You've seen what's happened to Cambridge, who have lost 9 of the last 13 games, something like ridiculous like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. Wednesday are grind out results. We're not performing brilliantly. Yes, I'm going to come back to that comment very shortly. Barnsley, they had a great result, didn't they, at the weekend as well against struggling MK Dons. MK Dons are a side that, not doing great, are they? They're only on 14 points. Now, they're 6 points adrift at this moment in time. And you start worrying for them. It's another defeat. Mohamed Ielsa getting a goal on his return, which is positive news for them. But Phillips scoring his third his third and 3. Williams getting his 2nd goal of the season. And then Kane getting a goal. Barnsley are on a nice run at the minute. They've won 3 out of 3, 6 goals scored, and starting to settle into League One nicely, aren't they? They're on 30 points. That's as many points as they got into the Championship last season. So already made League One their own like they normally do. And I said the best time to play Barnsley will be between the end of July when the first fixture was played, and probably the end of October. I said between November and March, they'll go on this unbelievable run where they pull results together. And at this moment in time, they're just starting. Look, the beating side, they should beat in Shrewsbury. The beating side, they should beat in MK Dons. But they weren't getting these results early in the season. It's a very, very good result. For MK Dons, I do worry about them. At home, they're not great. Away from home, they're not great as well. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how they pan out this year. You think with a team of their quality that they got in, a team that got to the playoffs last year, is Lee Manning under pressure? I think he is. I think that they need someone just to come in and play football to simplify it for them to get results on the board. I am all for playing nice, fancy football. I think it goes right in the long term. But MK Dons are 6 points adrift in a relegation battle here. And we're over a third of the way through. We're nearly halfway through. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be sat here saying, well, we're halfway through the season and they're probably still sit in the relegation zone. I think it's stubbornness at this moment in time that they want to play this way, but you haven't got the players to work with. It's literally like you want to bake a cake, but you've got no butter, you've got no sugar, and you've got no baking mix. You can't make a cake, can you? And it's like, at the moment, they're just scrambling around to play the way they want to play, which I get, but it's not working. And they will realise it and they'll change it too late. And if they don't change it, MK Dons will be playing League 2 football next year, and there's no doubt about that. They're in a relegation battle. They're not good enough to play the way they're playing. And I am, for the first time this season, I'm genuinely worried for them. Let me know your opinions on MK Dons. But Barnsley, brilliant result, and brilliant Bristol Rovers, who won by 1-0 with Scott Sinclair scoring his first goal since February as well. And at home, they're making it a fortress at the moment. 8 points from their last 4 games, draws against Fleetwood and Plymouth in there as well, and a win here against a decent solid Peterborough side. And we were talking a couple of weeks ago that they weren't beating sides that were above them. Well, they've done that in Peterborough, who are fourth in the table, 31 points, going well. And they are always going to do well. They have been involved in 63 goals already, Bristol Rovers. But a nice 1-0 victory at home, I think, will calm the nerves. They got a little bit lucky late on, where Bristol Rovers probably should score from a set. Peterborough should score from a set piece, but again, defended brilliantly. And 10 men Peterborough in the end with the sending off. I do worry for Peterborough. 6 defeats in 9 away from home, only winning 3 times away. They beat MK Dons away from home. A couple of decent results away from home for them along the way, but away from home, I don't know what it is. At home, they've got 22 points from a possible 27, but away, they just can't click. And it will be the home form that does get them into the top 6, because I do generally believe they will get 50 points at home. They're already nearly halfway there, and they've still got to play 14 home matches. But if you're going to get 50 points at home, you need to get about 27, 28 points away from home. And at this moment in time, they've only got 9 from 9. And if they are going to get that, 23 points a game average, they're probably going to just miss out by 3-4 points with the way the League One's going. Because the difference between Peterborough and the top team in this division, the top 3, Plymouth, Ipswich and Wednesday, all win away with clean sheets, 1-0, 2-1. If they don't keep a clean sheet, they know how to score 2 goals. They know how to get over the line. They're a bit nastier. I think Bolton kind of have that tight defence to give them the opportunities to score goals. Bolton create a lot of opportunities, which I will come to in a bit, to make them. It's a bit like Michael Smith in darts. He puts himself in enough finals to finally win a major at the weekend. Bolton create enough opportunities to score goals. I look at sides even below them that are on decent runs at the moment that are creating better opportunities than Peterborough in games, like an Oxford, like a Charlton, like a Derby, like a Lincoln. Teams that you maybe wouldn't really expect to be in the playoffs at the end of the season, like Lincoln's and, possibly even Bristol Rovers, who are creating opportunities. Oxford at the moment, you wouldn't even say they're going to get into the playoffs because how awful they've been, but they're coming into decent form. Peterborough need to smarten up, otherwise they won't make the top 6. And for me, they've got a decent side over there, but they've got to be tougher and they've got to be more game smart. Happy birthday, mate. Hope you have a good one. Where's Jake? Jake's having a couple of weeks off. Hopefully he's back soon, but maybe not. We don't know. Again, Posh are a different team away from home. Weak. Yes, spot on. Who do Fleetwood have in the FA Cup? We have Ipswich away. Tough game. They're obviously doing well in their division, and a couple of leagues below us, in the National League South. On TV, banana skin. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning for it, so we better do something. Burton 2, Plymouth Argyle 2. Again, started shaky, Plymouth, didn't they? Again, conceding. And they've only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 8 games. Now, that's one thing I do worry for Argyle. They have got firepower. Ryan Hardy's got 8 goals. Whittaker's got 7 goals. Azaz obviously been injured and 6 goals. Ennis, who was brilliant on Saturday, got an absolute wonder assist for Mumba 6, who scored 4 himself. You've got the super sub, Sam Cosgrove on 5 goals. And you've got kind of goals from Randell as well, who scored a couple in that mix as well. So they've got goal scorers that can score numerous goals across the season to fade that out. But your goals don't always come and they may dry up. And I just want to see a bit more of a defensive tightening from Plymouth, because they do play with shackles off, but sometimes going away to joint bottom of the league. Burton, who are dogged, who have been averaging just over a point a game under Dino, a lot of draws. In their 7 points now in the last 7 games for the Brewers. Again, only their 9th points at home this season, and that came with a 97th minute equaliser from Mariappa, who I thought both goals were direct balls into the box. They didn't win the first ball, they didn't win the second ball, and the third ball got prodded home. And if you want to get promotion, you've got to win second balls. It's basics of football that cost Plymouth an extra 2 points. It was 2 very good goals from Hardy from the penalty spot. and Ballymumba as well. So, a decent point for Burton. They'll be disappointed, Plymouth, 97th minute. They didn't lose a game. The unbeaten run goes on to 15 now. And the disappointing thing is that Ipswich have gained 2 points on them, and Wednesday have gained 2 points on them. Wednesday are right behind them now, and Ipswich are kind of letting them know we are still here, and we are, we're not far away. Accrington have beat Cambridge 1-0. Now, Cambridge have been awful, haven't they? They failed to score in 5 of the last 6 games. They failed to score in the last 10 hours of football at home as well. They've lost 9 recently, drawing 1. They've only won 1 in that time as well. They are losing to decent sides. Your Barnsleys, your Derbys, your Sheffield Wednesdays. That result came at Wycombe where they won 3-2. The other 5 games, they failed to score. And, Mark Bonner in September was all of a sudden going to Rotherham. It was off, saying he wanted it. And I think they were level on the playoffs or a point outside it. And now they're just outside of the bottom 4. That's how quickly football can turn. You've seen with Liam Manning, there's been interest, and he didn't leave. And now they're in the bottom 4. You've seen the bloke at QPR as well, who got interest from Villa, then 4 games, they didn't win. So it's a weird momentum what can happen when you keep your manager. But Accrington, it's a good result for them. And that's Accrington of old, going away from home, winning 1-0 in a big game, because it was a big game, because both teams are struggling. 55% of their points have now come away, 11 of 20. It's a good landmark for them. It's the first win in 8. They lost 6 of the previous 7, drawing 1 away at Lincoln, and Harvey Rodgers again scoring on the day, a big bloke up from the back. And, it's a good result for Accrington, and this is why I don't write them off, because they are a type of team that can go away and win by 1-0. And also with teams at the bottom 4 not winning at the weekend as well. Burton only drew the game, Morecambe lost the game, MK Dons lost the game, Forest Green Rovers got a decent point in the end. It's set a 6-point buffer from kind of the 3 teams on bottom, and you've got Forest Green, and then you've got the rest really on 20, 21, 22, and you've got loads on 23 and 24 who are just above that. And believe me, there is a lot of clubs still in a bottom 4 race. Although they may be 7 or 8 points off, don't write your chickens at thinking you're off. I worry for Cambridge, but it's a right result for the Stanley. Again, very far away. Up the Brewers. How are you finding your season so far under Dino? Is things going a lot better? It seems to be you're fighting a lot more. Fleetwood get battered everywhere they go. We'll reply to that in just a moment. Cheltenham, brilliant Cheltenham. When Alfie May scores goals, Cheltenham win football matches. And they're now 4 unbeaten on the best run of the season, winning 2, drawing 2, 8 points from the last 12 games. And this is the little bits of form that will get Cheltenham safe. They're on 22 points, not far off where they were last year. If you think about it, they are probably 44% safe, because I think, again, if you look at it, 14 points with, 18 played, I reckon it'll be about 44, 45 points again to be safe. Obviously, it was 41 would have been enough. 40 with a good goal difference last year. If you're definitely not Fleetwood. And they're going along nicely, Cheltenham, at the moment, because they were struggling. I think they lost the first 3 games of the season, came to Fleetwood, drew the game, then went to Exeter and won the game. So if you think about it, they've got 22 points from the last 15 games, which is a point and a half a game, which over the course of the season is exactly where they were last year. They're doing really well. And 1.6 points a game at home is very good. If it was just at home, they'd be 10th in the league. Away from home, 2nd worst in the division. So they've got to improve away from home. They've only collected 6 points away from home, and 4 of which were in August. So if you think two points away in 3 months of football, it's keeping Cheltenham down there. But the 6 points, you're 6-8 points above the drop zone at all times, really. And that's a comfortable gap, but over Christmas, there's still 6 or 7 games to come. And over Christmas, you're playing 4 games in something like 12 days. And that can be reduced from 6 and you're in the bottom 4 and you're kind of behind a little bit. So they need to kind of keep on with that trend. Wycombe are 5 points off the top 6 now. And again, they've lost 5 of the 10 away games, un-Wycombe-like. And the last time they played each other, it was a 5-5 thriller with Alfie May scoring 4 goals. So a bit different. I don't know what to make of Wycombe this year because they'll put in a really good performance, then they'll be really poor. It's probably the case of a mid-table team. Their season relies on January. They need to keep Anis Mehmeti, which I think they'll do so. I think he'll leave in the summer, mind. A lot of their players are aging. Your Sam Vokes types of players as well. I think they're in a weird transition period where Wycombe maybe need to realise it's hard to go year on year fighting with the big boys. Oxford have found that this year a little bit, who, to be fair, are on a decent run at the moment, aren't they? They're 6 unbeaten and winning 2, drawing 4, 10 points still. And this is why I think it's a huge year for Plymouth, because it's kind of their second big year fighting with the big boys. And I always think it comes in 3-year spells. And MK Dons have had that, they're struggling now. Fleetwood have that, struggling now. Wycombe have had that, struggling now. Scunthorpe had that, they're in the National League. They're going to probably go down to the National League North. I don't think that will happen to any of these clubs, don't get me wrong, but it's huge that Plymouth and Wycombe get these next 6-7 months right. Plymouth and Wycombe, though, are very well-run football clubs with good investment and good support. So if Shrewsbury get a good striker, and I could see them making a late charge for the top 6. I say this every year about Shrewsbury. For me, I think they've lost the last, not won in 5 or 6 games now. We will talk about Shrewsbury in probably about 10 minutes or so. But for me, they're very good defensively and they are battling. They should have won in the last 6 games. Don't read too much into those statistics when you watch games. They should have beaten Oxford at home, and they maybe a little bit unlucky not to get a point at Hillsborough. But sometimes quality pays, and you've not got that luck of the draw at the moment to get a goal scorer in. And Daniel Adoa in your side now, I believe Shrewsbury will be 5 points better off. I still think if Fleetwood had Paddy Madden, we'd be 5 points better off as well. Top respect, my friend from the birth city of football, Sheffield Wednesday to win the league. Great video from my friend from Sheffield. I wonder where he's from. No, thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. Evening all. Hello, mate. Hope you're okay, pal. Love your work. Thank you very much. Best city of football. Again, right. Fleetwood. Ooh. Move on. No. First off, I was impressed. I thought we looked okay. I thought we dealt with what they came at us quite well. I did think Fleetwood got out of the lurch a couple of times. Lynch made a mistake where he spilt the ball and they probably should be 1-0 up. There was another ball into the box. It was a worrying sign where they probably should score a second. We get a goal from Mendes Gomez and it changes the game. It's an absolute stunner. He scored 5, got 2 assists, and they've all come kind of in his last 8 games or so. He started at Portsmouth and he's on a great goal-scoring run. I do believe he's our only goal-scoring threat at this moment in time. That's in an attacking sense. I still believe for every positive you could label at Fleetwood, you could label a negative. Probably more negatives now after the weekend. And second half, yet again, we come out and we defend. We play a low block and we basically say, come on, Bolton, we're at home, break us down at home, and we'll hit you on the counter-attack. Which I get, and if he wins it, it's labelled a 1-0. It's a great result against a good team. But they had 7 balls in from Rooney's side that they should score. There's nobody there. They overcomplicate it every time they come forward. Dion Charles should have hit the ball about 4 times, lays it off. A player that's probably not in great goal-scoring form. He's only scored 3 goals this season. He just wasn't feeling a shot. They bring Bo Valson on, who had a bit of physicality, and we struggle with that. He just pins our defence, and you kind of think, we're getting bullied here. We have an opportunity to make it 2 through Sean Rooney and Josh Earl, and if they fall to a decent striker in Mendes Gomez or Paddy Madden or Ched Evans, strikers we've had before, we probably win the game of football 2-0, and it's a different story. But when crosses keep coming in and we switch off and Conor Bradley scores a goal, it's a great goal as well. It's 1-1. And then after that, there was only one team going to win that, and that was them. We kind of think, right, we'll hold on for a point again. And we lose a game. Afolayan getting the goal, great run from him, and instincts, isn't it? And I just don't think Scott Brown knows how to see out a game at this moment in time. And I worry for that. Look, I think he's got a good potential in management, but he has to kill games off at 2-0, 1-0, and go for a second goal and try and kill the game off from there, because we cannot keep letting teams come at us. We did it at Oxford. We did it at Bristol Rovers. At Bristol Rovers, we got out of jail because we should have lost that game. We were poor second half. The amount of times, Charlton at home, another one. Wickham at home at 1-1, we sat back. Forest Green Rovers 1-1 at home, sat back. And it's like, where are we at? There's a lot of draws. You win those, you're happy. You lose those, you're in trouble. Draws are the reason why Scott Brown's in a job, but draws are the reason why we're so hard to beat, and he's doing a decent job. It's a weird thing, but Bolton, full credit must go to them. Afolayan with his 18th goal since signing permanently at Wanderers, 73 games, 18 goals. He only scored one in his previous 21, and that came in the 21st game away at Crawley, where they won 4-1 and sealed promotion. So they're a good side. They'll be up there at the end of the season. I still think they need work, but a decent performance from Wanderers. Come on, White. Yes, and if you're new to the channel, please like this stream. It would be massively appreciated. Also, if you're not already, subscribe. We're 87 subscribers from 10,000. So if you could help me out, that'd be massively appreciated as well. We'll go on to Lincoln against Morecambe now. Now, Morecambe, they've only won 2 in 19, but they are battling, and they probably should have more wins on the board and should have more points. They've just not got quality to win games of football, and they concede at wrong times. They don't score enough. Again, if they could keep a clean sheet, I think they win this game of football anyway. Obviously, I know they get a consolation, but I just think they'll win games 1-0, 2-0. And in the games that they do concede 2, or the games that they score 2, they concede 2. And you can't do that when you're at the bottom of the league as well. And Lincoln have drawn 7 this season and won 2. It's a really good result for them because it sees them kind of in a rhythm where they're so close to the playoffs. They're only 4 points off the playoffs, Lincoln City. And I think they're only getting better. They're still improving. The thing about Lincoln, Ben House getting another goal. I think that's 5 for the season, Joe. Kind of they're getting goals at right moments as well. And I really like how they play football. I like the way they attack games. I like the way they can beat good teams, but break down a poorer side like in a Morecambe type. They picked up 12 points from the last 7 games, so that shows you they're nearly 2 points a game, which is Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, Ipswich-esque. And they beat Derby, they've been to Portman Road and won. They've got a point against Wednesday at home. They went to Bristol Rovers and scored 6. They're no mugs, this Lincoln side, but for Morecambe, have to stop conceding goals. Cole Stockton is 22 goals without a goal. He did have an effort that hit the post of the day from halfway as well. A year on from his halfway line goal against Fleetwood, but Jensen Weir with his 5th goal of the season with an absolute thunderbolt to reduce the deficit. Why do so many players who have played for 500 plus games of quality teams not see everyone else does? Brown to blame, IMO. Yeah, spot on. All I saw all game was they were bombing down that far side. We couldn't get any rhythm going in midfield. Our midfield looked tired. A change was needed. Next up, we'll do Oxford against Forest Green Rovers. Oxford now on a decent little run, aren't they? 4 draws, 2 wins. Henry with his first goal of the season, 17 games played. That'll do him the world of good. Now, they've had 18 shots on target in their last 2 games, Oxford. In the previous 4, they had 18 shots on target. So they're doubling their efforts at goal, and that is why they're getting more joy. And Oxford United have had pounded on goal in the last 2 years and got results. And this is why they get successful, because they have more opportunities to score goals. Unfortunately, didn't see out one of those 10 opportunities. Bar the Henry goal, which was a scramble, and Jamil Matt pops up and scores a goal. He scored 19 in his previous 2 seasons for Forest Green, both occasions, to 38 goals. And it's a nice little header. I've always questioned his ability in League One, but he's a good head. He's experienced, and he'll do for Forest Green Rovers. Him and Wickham up front are experienced heads, and they're probably the best they can afford. But if you're critical, they probably should win the game, and they have opportunities to do so. And let's see how they do over the course of the season, because I still think Oxford will come good at some point, and I think that's a very good point away at Oxford. Although they're not winning games of football, they're not losing every week, are they? They can pick up an odd good point, but they need to turn these points into wins. And the home form to lose, 7 games at home, it's not great, is it? Come on, you need to be a lot better at home. And, if you win your home games against a team that you should be beating, going away at Oxford normally is an outstanding result. And I mean outstanding, really. But let's see. Sheffield Wednesday to win the league. Too early to say, but they're in my top 2. Let's see. Wednesday have got the best point tally they have for 40 years, and they're on 40 points. It says a lot. 21 points at home, 19 points away. It says they're not just good at home, and they're not just like other teams, like a Peterborough. Plymouth are very heavily reliant on that home form, but can go away to teams and get a result. Wednesday can get a result anywhere, and they can keep a clean sheet anywhere. And for me, that's a huge, huge achievement. Port Vale 1, Charlton 0. Dan Butterworth with his second goal of the season. 3 and 5 in all competitions for that man. And he's 26 points from 19. Now, for me, Darryl Clark is in my top 4 managers of the season for me for what he's done. They've been beat 4-0 twice. They bounce back every time. They've not gone 3 games without a win this season. So to constantly get wins at this level with a team that have just come up, settling into the league, getting to know the league again, is an outstanding achievement. 15 points from 10 at home, 1.5 points a game. Over the course of the season, you're probably going to get from that landmark about 35 points at home. Then you only need about 13, 14, 15 points to be safe away from home. You can potentially win 5, lose 18 away from home. They're not going to do that, because Port Vale, he labelled them as soft when I watched his press conference when he lost 4-0 at Oxford, and it was very interesting. And they seem to respect him, and they seem to have a good culture at Vale, and I really like it. They seem to me, they don't have the quality as other teams have, but they have more commitment than others. They have more endeavour than others. They have more togetherness than others. And for me, that builds a good team. Oxford for the playoffs. Carl Robinson doesn't become a poor manager overnight. Absolutely agree. How are you liking Carl Mendes-Gomez? I love him. Defensively, he runs hard. He's our only goal-scoring threat. He's quick, he's rapid, and cheeky with a goal celebration as well. Let's see the odds for getting 100 points and not finishing the top 2. You'd get good odds. I think at one stage of the season, about 4 weeks ago, when Ipswich won against Derby, Plymouth were averaging 113 points. Ipswich were averaging 106. Wednesday were averaging 95 and missed out. I think it won't carry on like that. I honestly believe there'll be a team in this season. I think there'll be a team that could get 100 points this season. I'll say that. But with how quality League One is, it wouldn't surprise me if 3 teams got 95 points. It really wouldn't, because that top 3 are so far and above the rest. I at the start of the season got battered on here, by the way, absolutely battered, that Wednesday, Ipswich and Plymouth and Portsmouth are better than any other club. The Portsmouth one went a little bit shaky, didn't it? But the other 3, to be 9 points clear after 18 games, that is half a point a game that they're getting more than the other teams. That is ridiculous standard. And we're on Wednesday now. They're unbeaten in 7. They've won 5, drawn 2. 17 points. They're averaging like 2.5 points a game. Over the course of the season, they're averaging, with that record, about 110 points. And what I like about Wednesday is they might not go 25 games unbeaten. Look, they've still got 21 points at home. One loss in 12, which is still a very good run. And they're disappointing to lose that to Plymouth. The one before was Barnsley at home, which I get is a frustrating. They'll lose a game and they'll slip up here, and then they'll draw a game, which Plymouth or Ipswich might not slip up as much. But over 10 game blocks, Wednesday get 2 points a game. And you can afford to lose 3, or you can win 6, draw 3, lose 1. And as much as you're thinking, we're not getting going, we're not winning every week, you're still getting 21 points. And over the course of the season, you get that, you're probably on for 84. You're probably on for 94 points a season. And that'll win. That'll get into the top 2. I'm sure on that. You can't be sure, but I'm just going to say I'm sure, because Plymouth and Ipswich are also as good. 40 points to 12 wins is a big pointing factor. 4 draws. I want to mention that. Last year, Wednesday were drawing too many games, and you probably would be maybe 6 points worse off. You've probably only won 9 at this stage, but drawn 7. I think at one stage last year, we were talking about Wednesday after 30 games. They'd won 13, they'd drawn 13, but lost 4. And although you're on 52 points after 30 games, and it's an incredible achievement, and you're thinking, well, 25 points or 30 points from the last 48 available, and we're in. And they go and do that. But this year, the winning games of football against teams, no disrespect to Shrewsbury, no disrespect to the sides that they beat, Port Vale away, Forest Green Rovers at home, Morecambe away, where they're getting clean sheets. They've kept 10 clean sheets this season. They're beating teams that they weren't beating last year. And that is all they need to do. And if you keep winning week after week, keep putting 2 points on the board, keeping clean sheets, keep it being tight, you'll be fine. They've only conceded 5 goals away from home. They've kept 10 clean sheets all together. I think they've got something like the second best away form and the third best, home form. And it's like, well, in every stat, goals scored, they're in the top 3. Goals conceded in the top 3. Goals per game in the top 3. Chances created in the top 3. Defensive kind of errors in the top kind of bottom 3 for least errors. And when you've got that, you've got a good core effort. And Darren Moore, for me, he isn't a top level manager, in my opinion. I don't think he's a championship manager. And I may worry for them in the championship with Darren Moore. But what he is, he's brought a togetherness and a spine back at Sheffield Wednesday, where the fans are believing again. They've got a bit of a culture again. They've got a bit more of a family feel. He's a nice guy, and he's a decent League One manager, and he's putting on a good run. He tactically got outdone in the playoffs. That's why they lost over 2 legs, in my opinion. They were awful at the Stadium of Light. Where they were lucky to lose 1-0. But he's bringing something to Wednesday, and he's giving them hope when they had no hope. And they were very unlucky to get relegated from the Championship. They improved when he got there. So for me, he will be the man, and I want to see him win promotion with Sheffield Wednesday, because I think as a guy, as a coach, they've got a decent one there. They really have. Just had our fixtures Wednesday, and in February we have Plymouth at home, followed by Ipswich away. That'll be basically sort of the top 2 out. I always say there'll be a team from February onwards that go 15, 20 games unbeaten, and you think, wow, these are the real deal. Have Plymouth timed it too soon? Have you boys going on a good run at the right time? For me, there's never a wrong time to go on a good run. There's a time to go on a bad run, and you don't want to do the time Plymouth did last year, where they didn't win in 7 and dropped out the playoffs. Lincoln looking to beat those Shrimps on. I'd say in the 18 games Morecambe have had this season, I reckon they probably deserve to win the game 6 times. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but you had, say they've drawn 2 and lost 4 of those games. I'm not going to mention games off the top of my head, but Lincoln, I think Portsmouth is just 2 that you could mention. Very unlucky against Wednesday at 0-0. We should draw the game, concede 1, heads go down. They're the better side against Fleetwood first half. Probably should be 3-0 up. You had 11 points on for them being the better side, which I know you don't get points for. All of a sudden, they're on 25 points and they're in the top half. And that is the difference between playing well and have the quality to score goals at the right time. Again, we're becoming less soft, winning more games. We should be, spot on. And you're keeping clean sheets as well, which I really, really like. So keep coming with your questions, guys, as well. Again, we've pretty much gone through all the games as well, just double checking that we have as well. But again, no, I really, really liking Wednesday this year as well. We will have a look at the League One table again, because it is tightening up at key areas. Now, if you look, Plymouth Argyle 43 points. Look at Ipswich on 41. Look at Wednesday on 40. Peterborough 31. Bolton 31. Barnsley 30. Portsmouth 29. Derby 29. Lincoln then on 26. So all of a sudden, I still think it'd be between those 8 overall. And you may get one that's sneaking from... Look, I'm not going to be horrible. I don't think Port Vale, Exeter will go. I think Lincoln will struggle in the back end of the season. If I'm not looking at anyone, I'm looking at Oxford or Charlton, who are 13th and 14th. But Charlton are only 6 points off with a good home record. They just need to sort their away record out, because they've only won one game this season away from home, and that's against Shrewsbury. And Shrewsbury, again, no winning 6. So we didn't talk about that either. And that's the difference between League One. You've literally got Lincoln on 26 points in 9th. You've got Port Vale 26, Exeter 25. You've got Wycombe 25, Oxford 24, Charlton 24, Bristol Rovers 24, Shrewsbury 23. So between 16th and 9th, there's 3 points. Now, Shrewsbury, who were near the playoffs a couple of weeks ago, one win, and all of a sudden they shoot back up into the top half. And that is football. Another day in League One for me. It's just mental. You can't beat it. And then Fleetwood, Cheltenham are 8 points above the drop, but never look, for me, at any spot, bar Cheltenham, the last 4 games, look like they're ever away from it. Accrington and Cambridge, who are struggling, but still 6-point buffer. And then all the bottom 4 are on 14 points. Morecambe, 14 points. Forest Green, 14 points. Morecambe, 14 points. Burton, 14 points. And MK Dons, 14 points. If any of them going to stay up, I think it'll be MK Dons after a manager's change, or they adapt their game plan, because I think if they go a bit more kind of long ball, a little bit more tougher to play against, a bit more solid. Look, they play 3-4-3 with your Zach Jules type of players as well, who's a more of a head it and kick it away and get it away from our box type of player. And give it to the forwards, get the ball into the box more times, get it forward quicker. I think they'll win more games of football. I think Morecambe and Burton are improving, but do they have the quality to get points? That is my worry. I fancy Derek Adams over Dino, but Derek Adams' interviews worried me. Is all right at Morecambe. Who knows? And look, Morecambe are getting a bit better tighter defensively. They've only conceded 30 goals, and I say that. Forest Green Rovers conceded 38. Burton have conceded 40. Cambridge, who are just above them, has conceded 30. Accrington 30. So they're not more than others as well. But the goals scored is the lowest, isn't it? And I know they're adding goals, but if Cole Stockton can just get 1 goal, I think it could change their season. Morecambe just need a penalty, and it's an opportunity. And that penalty could define their season. Obviously, they win the game of football, or Cole Stockton scores it, he goes on a good run, or he misses it and it makes his confidence go even worse. Morecambe don't win the game. It could be a couple of decisions in that bottom end that change it as well. We're going to go into the Q&A period now. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Again, I am sorry I am on my own as well. All will be sorted hopefully next week as well. Who wins League One? I think Plymouth will get second. I keep saying first, second. I just think Wednesday. Because the most clean sheets in the league. They win 1-0. They can beat sides at home. They're at home, they'll get 55 points. Barry Brannan's already got 10 goal contributions this season. 4 goals, 6 assists. They've got quality. They've got depth. It'll be that from that top 3 there'll be 3 points between top and third. I really believe that. This one could go to goal difference, where Plymouth score for fun. Ipswich like scoring for fun, but tighter defensively than Plymouth. And, Wednesday are probably a bit of everything, can score goals. Wednesday are only 4 goals below Plymouth. And Plymouth are known as this real, the best attacking team in the division. But Wednesday conceded 6 less than Plymouth. So it all comes down to these little things. I think Lincoln signs on players in January could get Scully money, rumours of 500k. It's a huge window for Lincoln because I think they're doing really well. I think if you ask yourself, after 18 games, you'll have only lost 4, but you've won 6. 26 points, some of the results you've had, I think you'll be absolutely delighted with that, personally. If Ipswich could finish games off, we'd have 8 more points than what we do. It's these things. Plymouth Argyle would say the same thing. 2 points there, a point away at Fleetwood. Over the course of the season, every team will be, if we just won there, we would have been promoted. If we just won there, we would have stayed in League One. If we just won there, we would have got into the playoffs. Every team in League One will say the same thing. And it's action in it and how you respond. I must say I've been impressed with Ipswich's little bit of response because I think going away at Exeter, winning 2-0, who, by the way, are in the top 11, and that was only their 8th defeat this season in 19 games, for a side that have just come up and quite strong kind of win, draw, lose, win, draw, lose. And obviously the firepower comes from Giovanni Brown, Sam Nombe, those types of players as well. I'm very happy with us right now. Mostly going, keep on like this for Ipswich and wait and see. Plymouth will drop points. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to do something with League One over Christmas period where we can watch like a few games in League One. That's what I want to do. If you want to see some League One watch-alongs, let me know in the chat down below. Would you be interested? Although they're not your team, obviously you'd be at the game if it was your team as well. I know there's Wycombe against Portsmouth coming up. I know there's Wednesday against Derby coming up on TV where I'm at Ipswich the day before. So if you do want watch-alongs, let me know. And if you could like the stream, subscribe if you're new. Let's try and get over to that 10,000 subscriber marker. Player of the season so far. It's a good question. I'm going to give you 3. I'm going to give you Aaron Collins, and I'm going to give you Giovanni Brown because they've got the most goal contributions in the league. And I think that has to go up there. I think other players as well that have been good for the clubs, your Barry Bannons, your Connor Chaplins, your Morgan Whitakers, your kind of Atholians, James Traffords, Clark Harris, who's on 12 goals, top goal scorer. I'm going to go for Lee Evans because Ipswich are a different side when he doesn't play. And he basically lets the front 5, as you will, play football. And he is basically the spine that basically says, go on then, you progress and I'll stick back and help the defence out and break up any nasty bits of play. A bit like Jordan Roster-esque at Fleetwood, who's now at Bristol Rovers, and Sam Finley-esque, who I've been very impressed with at Bristol Rovers, Sam Finley. And he does that so well. And he's got so many interceptions, so many tackles. I think he's got the highest average rating in League One this year. I've been really impressed with him every time I've kind of watched him play. A couple of underrated players I'll give you as well. I've been very impressed with a couple of lads like your Butterworths and your Ellis Harrisons at Port Vale, who obviously Ellis Harrison's not scored for a bit as well. I think your Connor Wickham's at Forest Green Rovers at the bottom of the league as well. I think your Jensen Weir to score 5 goals in a struggling Morecambe side to score, a third of their goals from midfield. It is a pretty impressive stat. And then you kind of look at Davis at Ipswich, I think has been outstanding. I think he's kind of taking the shining off Wes Burns. It's not all about him now on that wing-back side. You kind of have a look at, Anis Mehmeti, who's been an absolute baller for so long. Your Clark Harrises, you can say about them all day. Finn Azaz until obviously getting injured. Ballymumba have been excellent. I think Ben Howes and Jack Diamond have had good seasons at Lincoln City. There's so many players that I've been impressed with for different reasons, and you could be here all day. I'd love to be here all day to speak about League One. Again, MK will stay up, too good not to. I've seen so many sides be too good to go down, but because of the way they play, look, they just need to adapt and go back to the roots. Look, if they need to I said this about Fleetwood this year. If they get through this year, they'll be absolutely fine going forward. If they go down this year, I worry for them. Keep your questions coming in, guys. It is massively appreciated. Derek Adams is walking on a thin line with Shim fans. It's 50-50. I always say about Derek Adams, he's a top manager for me. League One, League Two, for smaller football clubs. And he always kind of leaves them in better positions than he finds them. But I always think he kind of outstays his welcome. That's what I'll say. Bradford outstayed his welcome, and he was only there 6 months. Plymouth massively outstayed his welcome. He was a legend there at one stage, then he went downhill. Morecambe is the same happening. Who's going to survive? I think MK Dons will swap for Cambridge at this moment in time. Any news on Tyson Fury? Yeah. With him, I don't know whether to believe him. We Wednesday haven't really got out of... always betting the second half of the season, looking like a marathon. Yes. One thing I like about Wednesday, like you say, 1-0. They never get too high, never get too low. I think kind of when Wednesday come off the pitch, it's like they could play another half an hour and it's like, job done, calm. Everything is calm. And it's like, when you're calm and you kind of naturally just like, right, job done. We're on to the next one. And everything seems to be in the right place for Wednesday now. When Ipswich kind of come off or when Plymouth come off, they seem to be absolutely huffing. Like they put so much into the game, so much energy, and they've got the 3 points, which is really good, but they seem to be putting a lot more effort into getting 3 points than Wednesday are. And I just think over 46 games, will Wednesday have that calming factor where later on in the season, they've got that little bit more energy? Obviously, one thing I probably need to do is probably look at the running distance of the two clubs above them. But when I watch Plymouth, they seem to be all over the place, pressing impacts. It seemed quite the same. You know, a lot of men get forward. With Wednesday, it seems to be a bit flatter, but they're still getting 3 points. And, you know, let's see. Would you rather have Stockton or Mendes Gomez? I'd rather have Stockton because I think we need someone to hold the ball up. We've got Morton. We've got... who else have we got? Yeah, we've got Morton, who can't hold the ball up very well because it's not his game. He can make mazy runs in behind, but doesn't really hold the ball. Joe Garner's good at coming on for 20 minutes at the moment. He's 34, 35, who's decent in the air for a small man. And you've got Jed Garner, who, you know, he'll work hard for you. Youngest team in the league, new gaff with his first season, 9th in the table. We are a team that's learning from every game. I would say that all day long. Agree. And I think you're still improving, Sue, which I think is a good thing. I still think you're developing. I still think you're getting better. I still think every win that I kind of think, okay, then, that'll do him the world of good. And it seems like you need a win to kind of, wow, that's a confidence booster. And young lads need that. Young lads need to feel confident. If you were not winning games of football, I'd worry for you kind of how they're going to get out of this. But you've got quality to score goals. You've got quality to keep clean sheets and be tight at the back and not lose games of football at home. But you've also got the shackles off away at big football clubs. You can go and be big men and be big physical men like you played 40, 50, 60 games together all season. So, you know, I'm really impressed with Lincoln. I still think they'll finish in the top 12. I think they'll finish above Fleetwood, which means I'll have to wear a Lincoln City shirt at the end of the year due to a bet with Jake. But I'm impressed with them so far. And there's a couple of times where they probably wasted opportunities and Lincoln will be disappointed. Maybe they're not in the top 6, but very happy they're in the top 12. I think this side is better than the side that got to the playoffs. I think they had a lot of good individuals in the side that got to the playoffs. You know, your Brennan Johnsons types of players. This year they've got a better 11, in my opinion, and they feel like more of a team, and it's really good that. So what separates Ipswich, Wednesday, and Plymouth from each other? 3 points. Honestly, one win. We'll know. Well, after one game this season, you'll get a feeling, you'll think, right. And that feeling will change next week when it all changes again. League One is ridiculous. Rumours that Ipswich are after Whittaker from Plymouth. It wouldn't surprise me that a couple of teams in the Championship or League One put in a permanent offer or a loan offer for a couple of Plymouth stars, although they don't want them. Mind games a little bit. Bit like what Fleetwood did with Cole Stockton. Who knows? Do you think most neutrals will be will be rooting for Plymouth when they probably deserve it as well? Posh or Oxford for playoffs? I think people will get into the playoffs, but I don't think they'll win it because away at Plymouth, away at Ipswich, away at Wednesday, away at Bolton, they'll get eaten alive. But at home, they might get the job done in one game, and that's pressure though. Get down to Fleetwood, Ipswich. I'll be coming down to Ipswich away in a couple of weeks. Are you going to Hillsborough this season? I'll be going to every game this season. Don't worry about that. Barry Bannon, too good at football, isn't he? Chaplin, not worthy of player of the season so far. Not consistent of Lee Evans everywhere. What a saving grace. Agree. And that's why he's in my top 3 because other players perform better with him in the team. He's a 7 out of 10 every week and makes other players a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. Without him in the team, every player is a 6 or a 7 and they don't perform as well. The running distance is down. The results are down. And the chances conceded per game are down because he is key. And they've got to keep him fit. Who's going to survive this season? I've answered that one. Liam Shaw player of the season so far for the Shrimps. He's looked a revolution because at Sheffield Wednesday, he never really hit it. Ash Hunter should be back in about a month, I believe. He's huge to get back fit. Early rumours are yet more freebies than cheap boys. But yeah, one of those. Fleetwood Blackpool next season. Oh, don't get me started. Fleetwood Ipswich, do you reckon you'll get a result? I see no reason why Fleetwood will go 1-0 up in the game, which means we'll probably lose the game, but I see no reason why we can't come and give you a game. Do we get a result? I don't know, but if you just struggle to break down poorer sides at home this season, if you want poorer than them, your Lincolns, your Cheltenhams, those types of teams as well. Barnsley, Bolton at home as well. Possibly games they should have won. They're better away from them where teams come at them a bit more and they can counter-attack with the pace. Again, the last 2 or so minutes, best away fans in League One this season that's visited Fleetwood so far. Ooh, tough question. Ooh. For noise, I'm going to go. Who have we had? Let me have a look. I'm trying to think who we've had. For noise, I'm going to go Shrewsbury in terms of noise. In terms of numbers and celebration, probably Bolton. Because Bolton, I couldn't really hear him from till the 80th minute, for example. But we've still not had Ipswich. We've still not had Portsmouth. We've still not had Wednesday. A lot of the bigger boys need to come to Harbury yet. You forgot Promise. Oh. Don't get me started. Need to spare. What's your score prediction for when you come to my Portman Road? Oh, 2-0 at this moment in time. The managers ultimately make the difference in the title race. For me, Moore is poor tactically, but McKenna's not in McKenna's league. I think they make a little bit of a difference, yeah. I think tactically, you've got to be better than the other, but a calm nerve. Darren Moore's had that, been in the game a bit longer, managed at a higher level, obviously, a little bit in the Premier League and the Championship. Never got the job done, so you can't really say he's experienced, but they've got that thing. I like the way none of us are mentioning Portsmouth at the moment, and I think they'll be happy about that. I just think they need to strengthen in January if they're going to be in contention for the playoffs, because I think at the moment, Bolton, Peterborough, I think Derby are better than them. I think a couple below them are better than them. And drawing games of football isn't good enough. And they look flat on the ground. They look like they're limping into January. And it's like, ooh, doesn't look good. They need maybe 4 or 5. They got 250 grand for Joe Morrell going to the World Cup as well. So let's see. The Morecambe beat the Imps tonight. I'm going to go, I'm going to go 1-0. Best away day this season so far. Bristol Rovers away. We're going to end the show here. Again, another 60-minute show on my own. I hope you have enjoyed it. Again, if you have, please give it a like. It will be massively appreciated. Let's try and see if we can hit 50 likes. We're over halfway there. Subscribe if you are new. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. We are 87 away, and I need your help. So if you've got any family, friends, not subscribed yet, help me out by clicking subscribe. Hit notifications so you get notified when I upload a video. There'll be a couple coming this week on League One as well. But it's a big over and out for me. It's FA Cup weekend. I'll be going to Ipswich on Sunday, and I'll be leaving my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. So anything for COD is on TV, and I'm even missing the Costa Rica game for it. So that's how committed I am. But again, thanks very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next League One roundup or on my Ipswich vlog on Sunday. Thank you very much for watching, and up the cards and up the Sky Bet League One.